Well, Mother Nature has taken us from, well, midsummer to early winter. An abrupt change here tonight. It is a little chilly, but the Rangers will try and raise the temperature to a fever pitch as they take on the Atlanta Braves. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Friday night of Rangers baseball. And it is indeed a chilly night, kind of refreshing, as a matter of fact. Comfortable for the players, I'm sure, and Rangers looking to get back on the winning side of things, taking on the Braves, their last interleague matchup of the year. And Derek Holland, Tom, trying to continue what's been a good role for him.
It really has, Buzz. I think, when you're out for 5 months, he's done a lot of rehab. To get the results that he's gotten in the first 2 starts is pretty remarkable. He's pitched 7 innings in each start. He hasn't walked a batter. His fastball has been 94 miles an hour. His assortment of pitches to go along with his fastball have been terrific. Slider, curveball, changeup. All 4 pitches are working. He's throwing them all where he wants to. Mid-season form, back-to-back starts, probably as good as he's ever been. So hopefully he will be able to carry it through tonight as well.
Yeah, you'd like to see him go down these last several starts of the season and give himself a real solid feeling going into the winter, the optimism for next spring when he gets ready to go to Arizona. Well, the youngest of Ranger fans getting set to drop the ball. We'll come back with the starting lineups and the first pitch for you. Rangers and Braves right after this on TXA 21. Sponsored by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. By Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. And by TXU Energy, inspired by you. Meeting at home plate, Bobby Jones taking the card out there for Tim Bogar and Derek Holland. Getting ready to make his 3rd start of the year at the big league level. And As Tom told you, he has been pretty doggone good of late. The first two starts, 1-0 with an 0.64 ERA. Derek maybe even surprised himself a little bit with how well things have gone consistently. Against the Braves tonight, he'll face this order. Jason Hayward starts out. He's the right fielder. Phil Gosselin is at second. Freddie Freeman bats third, plays first. Justin Upton is in left field. Ryan Domit is the DH tonight. Chris Johnson at third base. Catching, Christian Bethencourt. Batting eighth, playing center field, B.J. Upton. And Andrelton Simmons is the shortstop and bats ninth.
Look at the scouting report for Derek. He's had 2 starts, both 7-inning starts, given up 1 run, 11 strikeouts, and no walks in 14 innings. Opponents are 2 for 18 with men in scoring position. Giving up a few hits, 12 hits in 14 innings, but not much damage.
Derek Holland has never faced the Braves before. He's faced a few of the hitters before with different clubs. Take a look at the Ranger defense behind him. Daniel Robertson in left. Leonard Martin is in center, and Michael Choice in right. Ryan Rua over at first base tonight. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Adrian Beltre at third. Robinson Chirinos. Nice to get him back in the lineup. He is catching this evening. Derek Holland, the 27-year-old left-hander from Newark, Ohio, is on the hill. Derek said that his favorite team growing up happened to be the Atlanta Braves. He watched them on TBS when he was in high school. And Chipper Jones, of course, their great third baseman, was his idol growing up. Jason Hayward takes the first pitch on the outside corner for strike one. Hayward, a .276 hitter. 11 home runs, 57 RBI. And Holland tied him up with that inside fastball. It's 0-2. A 65-degree evening here at first pitch. Wind blowing out of the north-northeast, so it's from the left field corner toward the right field corner.
Well, a couple of days ago, we were talking about how warm it was. It was an all-time record for the hottest day, whatever it was, 2 or 3 days ago.
2 days ago.
Not sure what the record is for cold, but got to be getting down somewhere in the vicinity of what it was.
And we're headed in that direction. 1-2 pitch. And that is wide of the mark. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, it was 102 day before yesterday. So here we are, just about 40 degrees cooler. That's great to live in North Texas. Hayward, as you can see, a pretty good job leading off especially, and he fouls that pitch down. 337 in the last couple of months of play.
There haven't been many leadoff hitters that look like this. Whatever, 6'5", 225 pounds.
Right.
Looks like Fred McGriff.
It looks a lot like him. Same kind of build. He doesn't have quite as long a swing. Holland to the wind, the 2-2. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball from Holland. And Derek strikes out the first man he sees, 1 gone.
I mean, that's been the impressive thing about Derek, is it's not just one pitch that's working for him. It's got a good fastball with good command, and he's had a great slider. That slider down and away to the left-hand hitter. Same pitch down and into the right-hand hitter, been just as effective.
Well, Phil Gosselin now, the second baseman, will step in. Gosselin, a young second baseman, called up about a month and a half ago by the Braves. Takes outside for ball 1. Gosselin hitting at .288, a home run, a couple driven in. 31 games this year with the big club. 1-0 pitch to him. That is right down the middle. The Braves in second place in the National League East, but they're trailing the Washington Nationals by some 8.5 games. So they've kind of written that off, the idea of catching the Nationals, as an idea that probably is not going to work. They're focusing now on the National League wild card, and they find themselves coming into play tonight, Freddie Gonzalez team, trailing the Pirates by 2 games and the Brewers by a half game in that for the second wild card. Next pitch is low and outside. And 3-1, the count to Gosselin. Braves this year 7-10 against American League opponents. Holland's 3-1 pitch. That fastball in on Gosselin. He's able to fight it off foul. And it's 3-2. Gosselin trying to get aboard with one out. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman, will be next.
I think Gosselin's doing a pretty nice job. Hit over 300 when he started for the Braves. He was an International League All-Star at AAA ball.
Lines this one sharply to center, but right there, Leonis Martin. 4 steps to his right. That is a hard out, number 2.
That sure was a hard out. That was a line shot as well as he could hit a line drive.
Well, our Globe Live quote of the game comes from Derek Holland, talking about his control. My focus has always been on commanding everything. The early reports from my rehab assignment said I didn't have good command of the fastball, and I worked hard to fix it. And I would say so.
Sure did.
Yeah. He's gotten that pretty sharp command of not just his fastball. Like you said, Tom, he has everything working for him right now. Freddie Freeman, a .292 average. And Holland pumping in a lot of strikes. Ahead of the count, 0-2. Freeman second on the Atlanta club with 18 home runs, 72 RBI. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves are missing one of their big guys in the middle. That's Evan Gattis, a local product out of Bishop Lynch High School. He's been sidelined by a case of strep throat. Missed the last 4 games now. Well, 3, and didn't start tonight. One and 2, the count to Freeman. Just able to get a piece of that fastball from Holland. Braves 35-40 this year on the road. They're 4 games over 500 overall. Holland, another 1-2 pitch. And fouled off. Rangers, meanwhile, come into play tonight 25-46 at Globe Life Park. The 25 wins through 71 home games, the fewest in franchise history. 2-2 to Freeman. Tim Bogar, the interim manager, and hoping to take that interim tag off. But, considering everything that's happened this year, Tim, very, very positive about things. An optimistic assessment of everything. Not pie in the sky optimistic. But that got inside on him a little bit, huh?
Might have been part of his batting glove that came off the bat on that one. I thought it was going to hit him.
Might have if he hadn't hit it with the bat. Pretty close.
I don't think you can get much closer to the hands than that.
Well, the bat broke down into his hands. Wow. Well, you don't see that happen very often.
Well, Freeman's a guy that walks a lot, too. He's walked 80 times this year. 3rd most in the National League. I wouldn't have got him a walk, but it would have got him ball 3, that's for sure.
9th pitch of the at-bat coming. Freeman fouls it off. Well, Holland is retired the first 2 and working on his 3rd one, but a lot of pitches. 21 so far for Holland. They're the National League leaders in walks. Giancarlo Stanton with 94. Freeman down there 3rd with 80. Got him swinging. Well, they got the fastball in a spot that Freeman couldn't handle it. Holland has a 1-2-3 first inning with 2 strikeouts. Half an inning in the books. It's the Braves nothing. The Rangers coming up. against the chill for mid-September. 65-degree evening with a pretty brisk breeze blowing out toward right field. A comfortable night if you are clothed properly. Ranger lineup tonight. We'll face the Atlanta Braves. Leonys Martin leads off. Elvis Andrus follows. Then it's the DH, JP Arancibia. 8 home runs since the All-Star break by JP. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. Ryan Rua, this first baseman, is next. Then it's Robinson Chirinos. Rougned Odor batting 7th, playing 2nd. Michael Joyce in right field. And batting 9th, the left fielder, Daniel Robertson.
Alex Wood is on the mound for Atlanta. His scouting report, having an excellent season. 10-10, ERA under 3. Since July 30th, he has the 5th lowest earned run average in the National League, 195. 27 strikeouts, 4 walks in his last 4 starts. He's a kid that had very little time in the minor leagues. Kind of a herky-jerky delivery. University of Georgia, 2nd-round pick in 2012. Only had 114 innings in the minor leagues before getting to the big leagues.
Leonys Martin leading off. Very quickly, Wood with showing you what he has. He is a fastball, that big breaking ball that you just saw, and then a straight changeup. Pretty simple. Has good command of all 3 pitches. And we'll throw any 3 of them at a time. Pitch is high, 1-2 now. Leonys Martin, a .281 average with 7 home runs and 36 RBI. He has been the hottest Ranger hitter over the last month. Got him swinging here. Wood, you can see why left-handers don't fare very well against him. Well, one away. Let's take a look at the Braves defense behind Alex Wood tonight. The Upton brothers patrolling left and center. That's Justin Upton in left, BJ in center. Jason Hayward in right, Freddie Freeman at first. Goslin and Simmons up the middle. Chris Johnson at third. And Christian Bethencourt is the catcher tonight. Oh, one away. Here's Elvis. Takes the first pitch low and inside for ball 1.
You know, the delivery that he's got reminds you a little bit of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
Kind of that herky-jerky style in the middle of his delivery. A little more exaggerated maybe than Kershaw's, but I could see the first couple of times you face him, you've got to get by the herky-jerkiness in his delivery and pick up the ball. It's probably not that easy.
Yeah, it looks like his arm action is a little bit longer than Kershaw's,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. That herky-jerky stuff, I would think, until you've seen him a few times, it's real tough to pick up what your timing should be against that motion.
I would say the hitters are having a hard time. He has struck out 148 batters now in 152 innings. So a lot of guys are having a hard time with him.
Yeah. 1-2 to Elvis, a .263 hitter. Fastball running back toward the plate, but it was a little bit high. 2-2. Here's what you're talking about, Tom.
Mm-hmm. We were talking the other day about deception in the delivery and the role that the glove hand can play with that, the way he throws it at the hitter to hide the ball. And most pitchers do that.
Andrelton Simmons gets his first opportunity tonight. A easy play to get his counterpart 2 gone.
We don't see Andrelton Simmons, obviously, in the National League. But people that see him a lot say there have been very few people that play defense better than he does. So hopefully in these 3 games we'll get an opportunity to see him in action.
Heard a lot about him.
Yeah, a lot of highlights of him.
Now JP Arancibia handling the DH chores tonight. Hitting 3rd in the order, a 167 average with 9 home runs and 32 RBI. Had his 9th home run in last night's ball game. He takes a strike on the first pitch from Alex Wood. You mentioned JP, 8 home runs since the All-Star break. That is the most on the Ranger team. There's that changeup. So we've now seen all 3 of Alex Wood's pitches, and JP not sure he saw that last one very well himself.
I think he saw it and then it disappeared on him about halfway there.
0-2. Arancibia with 186 at bats this year. he spent a couple of months at AAA trying to get himself back together. Did a good job of that and came up, and it translated from what he'd worked on at AAA to the big leagues. He was able to take that in and get off to a great start when he came back right after the All-Star break. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a full count. Well, Aaron Sabia trying to get aboard with 2 outs. Adrian Beltre, the Ranger cleanup man, would love to have a shot at Wood here in the first inning. Into the line goes Wood, the payoff pitch. And we'll try it again. Wood, one of those guys that in college had Tommy John surgery. He had it in 2009 and missed almost all of the 2010 season before being drafted 2 years later. But he has come back pretty well. I don't think there's any problem with that. Hard hit ball that Simmons gobbles up and fires on to first. Aaron Sabia retired. The Rangers sent down in order by Alex Wood and the Braves. An inning of play has gone by. No score at Globe Life Park. Bat with the middle of their order to face Derek Holland. It'll be Justin Upton, Ryan Domit, and Chris Johnson. Now Justin Upton having another fine year in the middle of that Braves order. 283 average. Holland's first pitch to him, and Upton slings through a fastball. Justin, 27 home runs. He is third in the National League with 96 runs driven in. 358 on base percentage. 0-1 pitch. Hit well to right center field. Leonis Martin saw it go up and then lost it.
He did.
Fortunately, Michael Choice had a bead drawn on it. Into the gap he went to make a catch.
I could tell how hard it was hit off the bat. I looked at Leonis and the way he was going after it. I said, man, this thing must be 40 feet out of the ballpark. But then he put his arms up. He never saw it.
The lead gray skies overhead, and I guess when this thing went up, it blended right in. About right there, he said, I have no clue where it is. Somebody help.
Well, fortunately, Michael saw it, and it was hit closer to him anyway.
Ryan Domit, no stranger to the Rangers, played the last couple of years with the Twins. Switch hitting catcher by trade, and also plays some outfield. Gets one high in the air to right field, toward the line and in. Michael Choice. 2 gone. And before Chris Johnson steps to the plate, let's welcome in James Slater. James.
Hey there. We'll save the date for North Texas Giving Day. That's going to happen on Thursday, September 18th. Visit NorthTexasGivingDay.org and donate to the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation. On September 18, 2014, donations can be made 6 a.m. to midnight on NorthTexasGivingDay.org. Donations $25 and above will be amplified by $2 million in bonus funds and prizes for more than 1,600 charities taking part. Help the Texas Rangers hit a home run by doing your part next Thursday. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you. Chris Johnson, the third baseman, goes after the next pitch and skies one to shallow right. Michael Choi is getting ready. Oh, and he lost it. That time he lost the ball and it landed over his head. Oh my goodness! That time of the night with the clouds, kind of a medium gray and not fully sundown. It's tough for the outfitters. This would be twilight without the cloud cover, and would be tough. But boy, with the cloud cover too, it makes him doubly tough.
Yeah, basically the color of the sky now is pretty much the color of the ball after it's been rubbed up. We don't have this same problem here for the most part on normal nights with clear skies, but tonight it's obviously a big problem.
Nothing you can do about that. Sunglasses don't help. It's maybe a different colored baseball. That's about it. So it goes down as a single for Chris Johnson. First base runner of the game for either ball club. Christian Bethencourt, the catcher, is up there now. Bethencourt, a .274 average. Hits it hard, but Beltre to the backhand goes a short way to Odor, and that'll do it. Well, the Braves get a gift single and strand a runner after 1.5. Rangers nothing, Braves nothing on CXA 21. Make the call. Text your questions on tonight's game to Mark McLemore at 469-209-2121. And if Mac reads your text from the postgame show tonight, you'll win a $50 Sporting Good gift card, courtesy of Metro PCS. Well, a very, very light mist falling over the folks here at Globe Life Park. Rangers come to bat in the bottom of the second. Middle third of the order, Adrian Beltre to start things off against Alex Wood. The first pitch from the left-hander is a sinking fastball in for strike one.
We're talking about Alex Wood having a great ERA, 2.90, but a .500 win-loss record, 10-10.
Beltre pops that pitch foul behind home plate.
We got a pretty good look at how hard it was to see that ball in that sky on that one too.
As soon as it got up above the stands where you had a background and into the sky, it's very difficult to see it.
Yeah, it's about as gray a sky as you'll ever see.
0-2 pitch.
In 12 of 21 starts this year, Wood has had 7+ innings and an ERA of 1.65. Every time he's had 7 or more innings, his ERA is 1.65, and in that, the Braves are 5-7. So he's pitching deep into a ball game with a 1.65 ERA, and he's 5-7 in those 12 games. That kind of tells you why he's 10-10 on the year, as well as he's pitching. Run support, 3rd lowest in the National League.
I'm going to sue the team for non-support. And Adrian Beltre caught looking at a pitch on the inside corner. Mike Everett making the call, and Adrian having something to say, and all Mike Everett can tell him is, I'm sorry, he had to call it.
Adrian hardly ever argues with the umpire. Usually he doesn't give the umpire a chance to call him out on strikes because the ball is going to be hit. He's going to swing at it if it's anywhere near the plate. And that's a tough pitch to have called a strike. It's, you know, down in that area. Generally, if it's just barely touching the strike zone, it's a borderline pitch. That one looked like Adrian had a little bit of an argument on it.
Yeah, he goes down as the 2nd strikeout for Alex Wood. And the first pitch now to Ryan Rua is in for strike 1.
I guess the other way of looking at it is, free a swinger as Adrian is, and as many pitches as he's seeing out of the strike zone, if he doesn't swing at it with 2 strikes, there's a pretty good chance it's a ball.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have swung at it.
Rua, a 260 average, 6 RBI now. Last 5 ball games, you can see he's really turning up the heat a bit. 368. And he pops this one up, shallow right field. Let's see if
second baseman doesn't see it,
but Hayward does.
That's a bad feeling, boy. It's happening on every ball that goes up. Someone doesn't see it.
Gosselin, the second baseman, going out, and I believe he thought he was camped under at one point. He threw his arms up, and Hayward was good, I don't know, 50 feet behind him and was right to him.
Usually it's the infielders that point the ball out to the outfielder.
Right. Now 2 gone. Here's Robinson Chirinos back in the lineup, and he takes a strike from Wood. Chirinos, of course, missing the time with that bad neck. Had his head snapped back on a foul ball off of his mask, and his neck just took the brunt of it, kept him out for 10 games. Last game he played when he got that foul tip was the last day of August. High and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Chirinos with 11 home runs, 33 driven in. Robinson turning things around a bit here in the second half, too. He has come on offensively. Chopper foul outside third. We'll try the 1-2 pitch again. Chirinos 4 for his last 11 trips to the plate. Wood back to him. That'll even things up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wood's next pitch, batting swinging. Well, Alex Wood, a couple of strikeouts in a 1-2-3 second. The mist continues to fall, and hitters having a tough time, outfielders having a tough time. No score after 2. Follow the September pennant races is with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. You enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV game of the day, and a whole lot more. Get it back for your smartphone or tablet at the App Store or visit MLB.com. Well, the light mist has turned into a heavy mist or light drizzle, or we're getting wet. B.J. Upton starting things off. He fouls off the next pitch from Derek Holland. Now, I guess that classifies as a rain.
This feels like Seattle.
It does. It does. We just don't have the carport to keep us dry.
They're big drops. They're real fine drops. Doesn't seem to be affecting play yet, but if it stays like this for a long period of time, then the infield dirt generally starts to puddle up. We'll see if that happens. It rains a little bit harder.
B.J. Upton waiting for the 1-2 pitch. Lines one into left center. That's a base hit. B.J. Upton, who had the most at-bats of any Brave hitter against Holland. He's now 13 for 24. Better than a .500 average against Derek. The leadoff single has him aboard here in the third inning for Andrelton Simmons.
Well, he got a high hanging curveball, hit it off the end of the bat, but found a hole in it. Upton, since he's been a Brave, has had 875 at bats. He's hitting 197.
Wow.
Don't think that's what they were looking for when they signed him to a $15 million a year contract.
First pitch to Simmons is inside. 1 ball, no strikes. And Simmons, a .240 average, 7 home runs, 45 driven in. Yeah, they were looking for B.J. Upton to perform more like his younger brother, Dustin, and that just hasn't happened.
I think they would have taken something similar to what he was doing in Tampa Bay, which even as a free agent, he was coming off a couple of years where he hit probably .235, .245, right around there. But he got a lot of walks,
right?
Hit some home runs, extra base hits, can run, steal some bases. So he brings a lot to the party. It's tough to bring it to the party, hitting 197.
Simmons shooting one to right field for a base hit. Around second, headed for third, and he'll go with no throw. B.J. Upton goes first to third, and the Braves has runners at the corners and nobody out for the top of the order.
Good job by Simmons. Looked like he tried to hit the ball the other way, take advantage of the hole between first and second. And he accomplished that. Didn't hit it all that hard. Neither did Upton. Still first and third right now with nobody out.
Boy, this is considering the weather, if you get an opportunity to run in this stuff, you want to do it, because it's got to be tough to pick up a ball that's rolled out there and throw it accurately. And
I don't think Michael even thought about throwing that ball. That's probably the reason why. Unless you know you've got a great chance.
Well, first and third, here's Jason Hayward for his second at bat. Ground ball. They're going to go to second for one. Back to third. Not in time. In to score, B.J. Upton. Hayward able to leg out the return on the back end of the double play, and it goes down as a fielder's choice and an RBI for Hayward. The Braves have a 1-0 lead.
That's kind of a tough call for the first baseman. Can you turn the double play, or are you better off getting the runner at the plate? Anytime you say, well, we'll trade the run for a couple of outs. But when you don't turn the double play, then you look back and say, you've been better off trying to get the out at home, which they would have had easily.
Well, that was a bang-bang play down there in the back end of that. So, 1-0 Atlanta. Hayward at first. They've got him picked on. Elvis are running back, and now they cut down the target. He's safe as Ryan Rua cut down the distance, and Elvis didn't throw the ball to him. The play was run properly until there was no throw. And once Rua committed himself to cutting the distance down, he was out of the play, unless Elvis had thrown him the ball, and he would have been an easy out.
Well, Elvis just miscalculated. He thought he could run down Hayward, and it turned out he couldn't. I mean, in the big leagues, this should be accomplished 100% of the time. And there's no excuse for that not being an out in the big league. Elvis has been in the big leagues for 5 or 6 years. There's no excuse for it. It's as simple as that. It's a fundamental play. It's a simple play. And it should be automatic in the big leagues.
Well, the first pitch now to Phil Gosselin is high for ball 1. Gosselin, a line drive to center for an out, his first time up. 284 the average of the home run and 2 driven in. Hayward, of course, with good speed at first base. And Holland almost had him picked off. Had the throw been on the outfield side of first base, he's out.
Yeah, he had him picked off. He just didn't accomplish it.
Throw is down on the left side of Ryan Rua. The throw is on the other side of Rua. That's an out.
Yep.
Hayward living a charmed life over there at first. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Just barely legged out the back end of a potential double play. Got picked off trying to steal second and beat the rundown. And then beat a pick off again by having the ball thrown to the opposite side of the bag. Outside, 3 balls, no strikes. Well, Gosselin, the beneficiary of a couple of weird plays. I think that Derek Holland got a little distracted with what didn't happen. And he throws a strike there to make it 3-1. Gosselin hitting second. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman, standing in the on-deck circle. Holland sets a check of Hayward. And a base hit to left field. Hayward will stop at second. 3 singles, I should say, not consecutive, but 3 singles here in the 3rd inning. And the Braves runners at first and second with 1 out for Freeman.
Yeah, tough pitch. Down and in. Borderline strike. I'll give Gosselin some credit for being able to hit that ball for a base hit. He had a line shot to center his first time up for an out.
Well, Freeman now will come up for his second at bat. Freeman a strikeout in the 1st inning. Five-year-old power hitting first baseman. A check swing foul makes it 0-1. This is the second stop on this road trip for the Braves, and make that the 3rd stop. Freeman 9 for 24 on the trip. That's a 375 average. He's got Hayward at second, Gosselin at first. And Holland now with the advantage at 0-2 in the count. This continuing to swirl here at Globe Life Park. Holland ready for the 0-2 pitch.
Freeman's hit about 8 balls like that in the 2 at-bats he's had. Got a long at-bat the first time up before Derek threw a good fastball by him. He fouled off a lot of breaking balls down with little dribblers. 11 no balls and 2 strikes. Wouldn't be a bad time to try that little bit above the belt fastball up and in. Sort of missed that at the first time.
That's where the target is. He tried the breaking ball away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Garrett peering in for the sign, has the one he wants. A check of the runners. To center field, that's a base hit. Hayward had to make sure the ball was going to go through, so he stopped at 3rd. But another base hit in the inning. That's 4 hits in the inning, and the Braves have the bases loaded with 1 out for Justin Upton. Well, the breaking ball again, didn't he?
Yeah,
Stayed up a little bit.
Yeah, several straight breaking balls, and he got one up. He's trying to throw it down, and this time the curveball, not a terrible pitch though. It's down and away, but in the strike zone, not quite as far down, I think, ahead in the count like that as he wanted it. But he chose not to go with a high fastball that struck him out the first time. He was going to try to get him with a breaking ball, but didn't quite make the pitch he wanted to.
Mike Maddox, a quick visit out to the mound to talk to his battery. Derek Holland, Robinson Chirinos. 1 out, bases full of Braves. A run across here in the 3rd inning. Derek Holland trying to keep this a 1-run game. Justin Upton hit a fly ball to right his first time. First pitch from Holland. 1 ball, no strikes. Our Ford leaderboard showing you the National League ranks for Justin Upton. He's 3rd with those 96 RBI, and 3rd also 27 home runs. 5th in slugging percentage at .513. In a run-producing spot here. Holland evens the count at 1-1. Holland ready once again. And Upton shoots it foul into the Braves dugout. A ball and 2 strikes. Justin Upton this year a .308 hitter against left-handed pitcher. Holland looking for the pop-out, strikeout, double play grounder, something good to happen. Going inside, the count goes even at 2-2. Derek now over 50 pitches. He has had 21 in this inning. The bases full of Braves with 1 out. 2-2 the count. Pulled well foul down the left side. Holland leading an off-speed pitch up. Hit Upton way out in front. Matter of fact, he broke his bat. Hit it down toward the end of the bat so much.
Yeah, the Rangers make that rundown play. Chances are you've got an entirely different inning going. Got 2 outs and nobody on. Derek pitching from a windup instead of a stretch. Chances are he's in the dugout. The Rangers are hitting, and it saved him 15 pitches.
Yep.
Just a simple rundown play. Not even a difficult play. And just not an excuse for not making that play.
Holland readies himself again. Another 2-2. That's in the dirt. Torino's having to go down to the knees to keep that ball near home plate. So it is a full count and no place to put Justin Upton. Good job by Chirinos. Upton hitting 4th to be followed by the DH, Ryan Doman. Holland ready, the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Holland went with something off speed, and Upton flailing at it. Comes up empty. Big strikeout for Derek Holland.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fastball type swing. 3-2 with the bases loaded. He didn't get the fastball. Instead, he got the changeup. Might have hit it on a hop, maybe.
Could have.
Well, big strikeout for Derek. It's going to cost him some extra pitches, but hopefully he'll be able to pitch out of the jam and keep it a 1-0 ball game.
Domet going after that high fastball, fouls it back, 0-1. Ryan Domet, a fly ball to right in the 2nd inning.
Gomez had 137 at-bats for the Braves. He had over 400 at-bats in each of the last 2 years with Minnesota. Been a good pinch hitter, though. He has 13 pinch hits this year.
Going inside, 1-1. Yeah, boy, you can't overlook the importance of that in the National League. And
No.
That's a critical spot.
He's had 64 pinch hitting appearances. And he's a switch hitter, so whenever there's a pinch hitting appearance, he's the guy.
Yep. Hollins, 1-1. Chopper slowly hit the third. Beltre will take it to the bag and step on third. That'll do it. Well, Holland does indeed keep it at a 1-0 lead. The Braves get a run on 4 hits, and they leave them loaded. After 2.5, the Braves won, Rangers nothing. Texas Rangers baseball on TXA 21 is sponsored by Sports City Toyota. Log on to sportscitytoyota.com. Well, a misty night and well prepared folks. Out their rain ponchos and still enjoying some baseball. 62 degrees now as we begin play here in the bottom of the third inning. Rougned Odor to start things off against Alex Wood. Braves leading 1-0, and Wood fires strike one to Odor. Rougned a .255 average, 8 home runs, and 38 driven in. In tight to him, 1 ball, 1 strike. Rougned 1 for 4 with an RBI in last night's ball game. He is over his last 12 ball games, hit at a .333 clip. He's faced safely in 11 of those 12 games. Waited nicely on that breaking ball that hung up there, and he fouled it off to the left. 1-2.
Rougned led the team in RBIs in August with 15.
Swinging. Good. Got to be tough to pick up. As you mentioned, Tom, that herky-jerky motion. I would think a left-hander really have a tough time on it.
I think they would, too. I think the herky-jerky delivery and the style, the deception, makes that 91-mile-an-hour fastball look a lot more like a mid-90s fastball. Tell by the way they're swinging at it.
Well, 1 gone. Here's Michael Choice. That sinking fastball in at the knees for strike 1. Michael, a .181 average, 9 home runs, 33 driven in for the ATL X. Lines one to right. Hayward charged in a couple of steps and put the brakes on quickly and make the catch. Yeah, I would imagine you have to be a little bit careful out there, too. Footing is probably a little dicey at times. Not enough moisture. Let it sit on top of the grass, and if you're not careful, you get a foot full of nothing. So Wood now has retired the first 8 Rangers he has faced in order. Daniel Robertson, the number 9 man, steps in, hitting at .275. Wood throwing a lot of strikes. That is his 37th pitch. Number 9 and 26th strike. Only 11 balls. Saw Daniel Robertson struggling a bit of late. Gets one back up the middle, and that's going to be a base hit. Yep. Got it in no man's land off of Wood, and once he killed it in the grass, Daniel is going to beat that out no matter what. No, there's the first Ranger base runner on an infield single.
Center fielder, Leonis Marte.
Martin, it's a rocket to right. Hayward going back and makes the catch. Well, heavy air. That ball was hit better than what we saw at Cary. Hayward able to track it down. Well, the Rangers get a 2-out single, but strand their first runner of the night. We will go to the 4th inning. It remains the Braves 1, the Rangers nothing. Convention and Visitors Bureau have teamed up to bring you Hispanic Heritage Day. That's this Sunday, September the 14th. Rangers take on these Braves, and to celebrate this special day, tickets in the all-you-can-eat porch are just $41, and tickets in the upper reserve section are just $14. Just use the online coupon code DCVB. Get yours at TexasRangers.com. Chris Johnson starting things off against Derek Holland here in the 4th inning. Braves on top 1-0, and Holland falling behind 2-0. Johnson, a base hit to right field in the 2nd inning.
Johnson's a .262 hitter, but a .412 hitter against left-hand pitching. He's got the best batting average in baseball against left-handed pitchers. Shaking his head, he got a fastball to hit and fouled it off. .229 against righties. He's a force against lefties this year.
And he gets fisted there again, out near the bag at second. Elvis on to first, one gone. Well, he's not going to hit .412 against left-handers at that pitch.
Well, unless they got a shift down the other way and it rolls through. Good pitch by Derek. Just the fastball right in on the fist.
Yeah, that's not the good part of the bat right there. Nope. When it has pine tar on it, that's probably not where you want to hit it. Christian Bethancourt, the catcher up there. And he chops that first breaking ball foul. It's 0-1. Bethancourt out on a fielder's choice to end the second inning this evening. It was only a bat against Holland. .270 average for the season for Bethancourt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bethancourt in his second tour of duty with the Braves. He was called up when the rosters expanded on the 1st of September. And, a good season in 91 ball games at Gwinnett, which is the AAA affiliate for the Braves, at .283, 8 home runs and 48 RBI. 2-1 pitch from Holland to right field. Now that it's dark, there shouldn't be any problem seeing this ball. And Michael handles that easily. 2 gone.
Derek looking for a nice quick inning. 3rd inning turned out to be a lot longer than it should have been, but it cost him a lot of pitches in the 3rd inning. He's got 2 quick outs here in the 4th, though.
Yeah, facing B.J. Upton, who singled and scored the only run of the game. Oh, 0-1 the count. B.J. Upton, 3 years older than Justin Upton. Inside, 1-1 the count now. Holland's next pitch. 2 balls and a strike. On the road this year, and B.J. Upton has not enjoyed himself whatsoever. Just a 185 average. 1 hopper right to Adrian Beltre. Across the diamond, and that will do it. Derek Holland does indeed have a quick 1-2-3 4th inning. After 3.5, it's still the Braves 1, the Rangers nothing on TXA 21. Jane Slater. Jane.
Thanks. We were just listening to a little Pat Green out here, which is a perfect setup for what I'm talking to Sean Decker about. Eli Young House Band House Party November 8th. Tell us about it.
That's right. Yeah, we're really excited to bring back the Eli Young Band House Party for the second year. We had a great year last year with over 18,000 fans in attendance. We're hoping to build on that this year. Up until Sunday at midnight, tickets are started only $25. So it's a great deal. Get everybody out. It's going to start with Maddie and Tay, followed by Cody Johnson, Pat Green, Gary Allen, and then finish with the Eli Young Band. And you can get tickets at texasrangers.com/Eli Young Band.
That's an impressive lineup. And now, where are we going to actually see this concert? Where does the house party take place?
We'll be right down here on the field. The stage set's right behind second base. It's a great time. It's a different setup here at Globe Life Park. It's a lot of fun.
That's a lot of folks to come out and listen to. Tell us where we can find tickets.
Again, it's at texasrangers.com/Eli Young Band, or you can call 972 Rangers.
All right, there you go, guys. Back to you.
All right, Jane, thanks. Elvis Andrus starting off the Ranger fourth inning. Elvis ahead of the count now, 2-1. Andrus, a ground ball to short. Back in the first inning. Rangers with just one base runner. That was an infield single by Daniel Robertson. And that looks good for the first time tonight, going to a 3-1 count. Elvis trying to get aboard to start the Ranger fourth. He'll be followed by J.P. Arancibia. Wood back to the plate and misses low, ball 4. And the Rangers have the tying run aboard with nobody out.
Well, Wood started the season in the rotation. He had 7 starts, but he was 2-5. Then he went to the bullpen. Then they decided to put him back in the rotation, but first he went to the minor leagues to get stretched out a little bit. He had a couple of starts there, was back in the minor leagues for a couple of weeks, and since that time he's been pitching in the rotation for Atlanta and obviously doing a great job. Last 2 starts have been against Miami. One of them was 8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, and 12 strikeouts.
Snap throw to first, and Elvis just able to get back under the slap tag by Freddie Freeman. A little different move. Left-hander making that quick step off and throw over there. Difficult on things like that when you haven't seen a club before, a pitcher or the entire club for that matter. Hard to get a good scouting report that, hey, he does, left-handers will do this, and something out of the ordinary that you aren't aware of until it's too late sometimes. No balls and a strike to Arancibia. Elvis, a pretty good lead at first. 0-2. Looks like Wood would be a little bit tough to run off from the standpoint he gets rid of the ball pretty quickly. Big guy at 6'4", but he uses hardly any kind of a leg lift. Doesn't bring that knee up very high on his way to home plate. Well, Elvis trying to read him and trying to figure him out here very quickly. Wood peering in to Bethancourt for the sign. Now the left-hander is ready. Breaking ball in the dirt, and it got Arancibia's foot. Well, a backdoor slider, or back foot slider, that indeed got the back foot. And Arancibia aboard. Freddie Gonzalez not real thrilled with that. Oh, a walk and a hit batter. 2 on, nobody out for Adrian Beltre.
Just came down, hit his back foot, bounced straight up there. I wonder why the catcher wasn't going after the ball. There's the reason why. He knew it hit his foot. Well, the run that the Braves scored in the third started on a little soft single and a little dinky ground ball first and second. Rangers can top that. They've got a walk and a hit by pitch. And they've got the middle of the lineup coming up. Adrian hitting with a couple of men on, not a position where they can pitch around him with nobody out. Hopefully he'll get a good pitch and drive one right here.
Matt Lucero, the assistant trainer, and Tim Bogar out to check on J.P. Arancibia. And J.P. said, "Hey, yeah, I'm a catcher."
That's a curveball hit him in the foot. Yeah. Trainer comes out. That's kangaroo. That's a fine in the kangaroo court
should
right
be.
there.
It should be.
Get hit by a curveball in the foot. You got to wave that trainer off.
And you're a catcher to boot.
That's right.
How many times you get foul tips down in the foot? Rangers with 2 aboard, nobody out. Adrian Beltre called out on strikes, his first time up there. Opportunity here to at least get the Rangers even and put them ahead with something big. Wood, a check of the runners. Ooh,
he was going for a 3-run homer there.
Yes, he was.
That's his hardest swing.
Had that 90-mile-an-hour fastball timed pretty well. It stayed up there for him, too. At home this year, Adrian Beltre is the highest average in Major League Baseball, 368. Wood okays the sign. Now pick off at second, and they've got Elvis. And a timing play between Andrelton Simmons and Alex Wood done to perfection. And Elvis spinning his wheels, trying to get back, didn't take the most direct route back. And he was picked clean.
You're having trouble scoring. You got 2 men on and nobody out, and your best hitter at the
Elvis's first step was parallel with the baseline, but about 3 feet in front of the bag, and he had to reach back, which took him some extra time.
Yeah, that's where he had his lead was way in front. It wasn't a direct line to third base. He had his lead closer to the pitcher.
One ball and 2 strikes to Beltre. Well, it's now Aaron Seavey at first, all by himself. Got him swinging. Wood came in with the breaking ball that came in under the hands of Beltre, and that is out number 2.
5 strikeouts for Wood, who has a pretty good assortment of pitches and has baffled the Ranger hitters for the most part.
Now Ryan Rua will step in. Rua popped out to second. Back in the second. He chops that first pitch foul by Gary Pettis down the left field line. 0-1 the count. 255 the average for the Ranger first baseman tonight. First baseman outfielder. Middle infielder by trade, but he's been moved all over the place this year. And Wood gets the call on the inside fastball. 0-2. Rua this year combined to hit .306 between his 2 stops in the minor leagues, Frisco and then Round Rock. Check swing, breaking ball down, and the appeal to first, and no swing, says Bill Miller. One and 2 to Rua. And another chopper foul. In fact, Ryan this year saw action in the minor leagues anyway, at both corner positions, first and third, and also at second base and in left field. His crash course at first base lasted all of about 10 games. Shoots that pitch foul to the right. But what we've seen him at first base, he's picked it up pretty quickly. It looks like he handles that position pretty well. Good athlete, so it's no surprise. Alex Wood studying the signs. The left-hander's ready for the 1-2 pitch. That will even the count. Now the 2-2. Hard hit by the third baseman down the left field line. Justin Upton into the corner. They're going to wave Aaron Seavey around, and now the stop sign is put up. Gary Pettis had the windmill going, but when he saw the throw come in, quickly put on the stop sign, and Aaron Seavey almost fell down. Had to scramble back to third. Ryan Rua with the two-out double.
One thing we've seen watching highlights of Andrelton Simmons is there aren't many infielders that have a better arm than he does. And obviously Gary Pettis is well aware of that. Yeah, good at bat for Ryan. He fouled off some pitches. He battled. He got one he could handle, and he drove it past Johnson down the left field line. Looked for a minute like Upton might have a hard time getting it back in, which might have allowed JP to score. As it turns out, that's not the case.
So second and third now with two outs. Here's Robinson Chirinos. He looks at strike one. Chirinos struck out in the second inning. And Gary winding around and said, whoa, right there, hold it. Just kidding.
Gary wanted to send him. And he saw what was developing and said, whoops, I better abort this mission.
Yeah. Fastball tails wide of the mark. 1-1 to Chirinos. .231 average for Robinson. Rangers have had a very difficult time in these runners in scoring position situations. Getting just 119 in their last 8 games. And that changeup floats low. It's 2-1. For his last 38, the Rangers are. 2 of those hits by the man at second base, Ryan Rua. And well wide of the mark. It's 3-1 to Chirinos. Chirinos, a right-handed hitter, good working with first base open. He's got a left-handed hitting Rougned Odor in the on-base or on-deck spot if he is going to be careful with Chirinos. 3-1. Low ball 4. That'll load him up for Odor. Second walk of the inning and the game for Alex Wood. Gonzalez in his 4th year at the helm of the Braves. Giving that stare out of the situation. He's got Bethencourt now going out to talk to Alex Wood. Rangers with Aaron Seavey at third, Ryan Rua at second, Robinson Chirinos at first base. 2 outs. The Braves leading 1-0 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Odor, you remember, had his first career grand slam. Was in Seattle at the end of August. Another opportunity here. Rougned a strikeout his first time up. And he swings to the first pitch and grounds to second. Austin on the first, and that'll do it. No, the Rangers leave him loaded on a hit and a couple of walks. We'll go to the 5th inning tonight. It's the Braves 1 and the Rangers 0 in Globe Life Park. Sponsored by Standard Insurance. Call Standard today. And by Freedom Dodge. Nobody beats a Freedom deal. Nobody. Now the mist continuing to fall here at Globe Life Park. Derek Holland back to the hill. He had a 1-2-3 fourth inning. And now goes to work in the fifth against the number 9 man, Andrelton Simmons. And the first pitch is high and tight for ball one. Simmons, a base hit to right field. His first time up there. .241 average. Holland back to him, and this is again high and tight. Simmons just 25 years old, already in his third major league campaign. He has, as Tom told you, become one of the most talked about young shortstops in all of baseball.
He had 17 home runs last year for the Braves. A young player, pretty impressive. This year he only has 7 home runs, maybe a little too home run conscious possibly. 42 games since the All-Star break, though he struggled. 149 at bats. He's only hitting 181.
Next pitch low and outside. It's 3 balls and a strike. So Simmons trying to get aboard to start the Brave fifth inning. Jason Hayward and the top of the order to be next. Strikeout rates, as you saw, Simmons not exactly the easiest touch to for a pitcher to strike out. Strike 2. Simmons back in. Holland to the wide, the payoff pitch. Up the middle, base hit. And Simmons went the other way the first time, through the hole on the right side, and this time shot it right back through the middle for a leadoff single. 6th hit of the night for the Braves.
Definitely trying to pound him in. All the pitches were inside. That one caught the inside corner. Might have caught his fists a little bit too, but he was able to sneak it past Elvis for a soft single to center field.
Now 1 on, nobody out. Jason Hayward 0 for 2, but he does have the only RBI tonight. Had an RBI on a fielder's choice grounder in the 3rd inning. 58 runs driven in now for the Braves right fielder. Decided to swing a little bit late.
Missed it.
You know, we talk about major hitters having a tough time with Alex Wood. Brave hitters, for the most part, have the same problem. We haven't seen Derek Holland very much, and the way he's throwing right now, that's a distinct advantage for the left-hander. That one's pulled through the hole into right field, a base hit. Simmons will motor on around to third, and just as the Braves did in the 3rd, they had their first 2 men aboard at the corners. And now Phil Goslin coming up this time.
The Braves are finding some holes with softly hit ground balls, that's for sure. Pretty much the same thing as the 3rd inning. Up to a little blooper into center field. Simmons dribbled the ball into right field. This time Simmons hit a little jam shot ground ball up the middle, and Hayward hooked one off the end of the bat into right field for a base hit.
7 hits tonight by Atlanta, and they've all been singles. And like Tom said, not many of them blistered.
No, not at all.
So 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Phil Goslin 1 for 2 with a single to left field. And Holland will drive Hayward back. Hayward, of course, very good speed at first base. And Andrelton Simmons also speedy over at 3rd. Now Holland ready. And the first pitch catches the outside corner for strike 1. Goslin a 293 average. And Holland going first base way to drive Hayward back. Jason Hayward, 18 stolen bases in 22 attempts. He was third on the team with stolen bases, behind Bonifacio, who's not had the entire year with the Braves. But a swinging strike two. And B.J. Upton also with 19 stolen bases. Holland, though, working on Goslin, now has the advantage in the count. Rangers with nobody out, playing the infield at double play depth. One and two. Derek, now that pitch down again, kind of getting away from him after a very quick fourth inning. Pitch total up to 81 now with nobody out here in the fifth. Left-hander's ready, the 1-2 pitch. And that was yanked well foul into the second deck down the left field line. Goslin waiting as Holland reads the signs from Chirinos. That is spoiling a pretty good pitch right there.
Yep, hanging in there. Mentioned Goslin made the AAA All-Star team this year. And he's done a good job for the Braves since his call-up. He's had 16 starts, and in those starts he's hit .323.
Holland again ready. And another foul ball. Goslin came up, made his major league debut last year with the Braves. He's also just a 25-year-old. Looks like he knows what to do with that bat, though. He's fouling off some tough pitches and got some pretty good swings at others. Holland's going to have to use at least 7 pitches to deal with him this time. Number 7 is on the way. That's rolling inside. And it evens the count at 2-2. Goslin adjusting those batting gloves. Back in the batter's box. Hits out of a slightly open stance against Holland. Got him swinging.
He's hanging in there pretty well, spoiling some pitches, and Derek just kept firing good pitches. And eventually he got him with a slider.
4th strikeout for Holland, and again, coming in a big time with the runner at third.
We've seen since Derek has been back, this is his 3rd start. That has been a strikeout pitch for him. That slider down there into the right-hand hitters. 1/3 of the way to getting out of a very difficult jam, 1st and 3rd and nobody out. Got out of 1st and 3rd and 1 out after a run had scored in the 3rd.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman, number 3 hitter in the order up there. And Freeman hits a potential double play ball to Odor. Andrews back to Rua. There you go, 1 pitch, 2 outs, and Holland and the Rangers out of a difficult 5th inning. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 left. We're halfway through the ball game tonight at Globe Life Park. It's the Braves 1 and the Rangers nothing. Sponsored by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. The mist continuing to swirl at Globe Life Park. The intensity hasn't increased much. Rangers, though, need to turn up the intensity of the offense and score a few runs here.
Well, they had what looked like a decent opportunity in the fourth, a walk and a hit by pitch to start the inning. Had a walk, a hit by pitch, a double, and a walk. 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and a double, and they didn't score.
Left them loaded. Michael Joyce starting off the 5th inning. And he takes going inside from Alex Wood. It's ball 1. Joyce, a line drive to right, his first time up there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Michaels reached base safely in 8 consecutive ball games. 1-2 now. Michael recalled, you remember, from Round Rock back on the 25th of August. That was when Shin-Soo Choo decided to have it shut down. That ball gets away from Bethencourt. The throw by the catcher in the dirt. It's up the line. And Michael Joyce is going to reach safely. A strikeout wild pitch, allowing Michael Joyce to reach base to start things off.
Well, that's a way to start a rally. Catcher couldn't block it. Didn't have much of an angle to throw this ball. By the time he gets to the ball, Michael is just about right between him and the first baseman. Although I guess if he made a good throw toward the foul side of first base, he would have had a job. You know, if the ball, that might have been one of those balls that was wet when he threw it, Buzz. It just kind of bounced and slipped out of his hand.
Well, the Rangers catch a break. Now let's see if they can capitalize on it. Daniel Robertson up there, and you see Daniel Robertson be able to use that hole on the right side to a big advantage. Daniel had the infield hit. First Ranger hit of the night back in the 3rd inning. Got Joyce with pretty good speed at first. And Wood will drive him back with a throw. Robertson checking with Gary Pettis down there at 3rd. Daniel in the midst of a 1-for-13 homestand. Snap throw to first and Joyce back. Alex Wood set. And Robertson pops it up. Gibbons, the shortstop, just a foot or so out on the outfield grass. The ball high enough up there, it might have gotten a little snow on it. Mist falling pretty well. A 1 out now, back to the top of the order for Leonis Martin. Martin, a strikeout in the first. Last time up, he blistered a line drive to right that Jason Hayward had to track down and almost in the corner.
It didn't look like there was much difference between that line drive and the one he hit into the little wedgie down there in right field the other night for a home run. It looked like he hit them both about the same.
Yeah, I agree with you. The ball came off about the same kind of way. Tonight, the ball is just not carrying.
It sure didn't look like it on that one.
A cooler night, mist. Conspiring against the hitters tonight.
Yeah.
Mother Nature. Good night to pitch. Wood getting ready, the 0-1 pitch. Notice had a hanger up there to work with again and fouled it straight down. Alex Wood, a pretty good pitch count, 72 pitches through 4 and a third. Ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes to Martin. opening swing. The left-handed hitter, when you get down 2 strikes,
yeah,
you might as well put it to bed.
Yeah, you're at the mercy then, because he's got the sneaky fastball and that sweeping slider, curveball, whatever you want to call it, that just kind of keeps on breaking. Looks like you might have a shot at it, and then by the time you swing, it's nowhere near the strike zone.
Well, that is 7 strikeouts for Alex Wood. 2 gone here in the 5th, and Elvis Andrus, who has walked and grounded out, steps in. Going outside, Elvis laying off that sinker. Elvis has had hits in each of his last 2 games. Homestand has not been kind to him. He's just 5 for 22. Takes that pitch inside, 2-0. Rangers entered play tonight really struggling to score runs, and they have now dropped to dead last in the American League in runs scored with 564. Whooping line drive up the ladder a little bit. Well, Simmons comes down with it, and that will do it. Well, the Rangers get a base runner, but strand him, and we have finished 5 at Globe Life Park. It remains the Braves 1 and the Rangers nothing. Braves lead as the Braves come to bat here in the 6th inning. Going to be Justin Upton, Ryan Domit, and Chris Johnson to face Derek Holland. Holland had the ground crew come out and do a little manicuring of the pitcher's mound. Freddie Gonzalez, the Braves skipper, trying to figure out a way to get his ball club another W. They won last night, or I should say on Thursday night, or Wednesday night. First 2 seasons with the Braves. First pitch is in for a strike. Lead the team in home runs. Justin Upton did that last year and this year. We'll get some other folks on that. Jeff Burrows down there, former Ranger, MVP. Upton down on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Justin a fly ball to right and a strikeout against Holland tonight. Derek with the 0-2 pitch. 1-2. Mentioned Upton 3rd in the National League with 96 RBI. Did you happen to see that video of Giancarlo Stanton getting hit last night?
It was awful.
Terrible.
It's probably very happy he wasn't hurt worse, but it looked like it was going to be worse than what it turned out to be.
Upton gone on strike. Yeah, latest I heard, I don't know if you heard anything further than this, but he was probably not going to have surgery, and he was going to have some dental work done. But the facial fractures apparently weren't going to require surgery, which is good news.
I don't know if he swung at that or not.
Well, one of the umpires said he did, so we're going to go with him. I don't know who it was. I don't know whether it was Mike Everett, the home plate umpire, or Bill Miller down at first, but Upton becomes the 5th strikeout for Derek Holland tonight. Here's Ryan Domit. Holland jumps in front of the count at 0-2.
Well, Derek, now 19 innings and a third into his starts this year, has still not walked a batter.
Pretty good streak, considering that he hadn't pitched in competition for.
So I guess he'll have to walk a batter before he can have a strikeout to walk ratio, right? Otherwise, he doesn't even have a ratio.
Yes. Yeah.
Some guy yelled that. There's a guy with a Longhorn shirt.
Doman, a towering pop-up, backpedaling in shallow right field. It wouldn't get Odor. Calls everyone off, makes the grab for out number 2. So Doman 0 for 3 as he heads back to the Braves dugout. Now Chris Johnson. Longhorns playing in shot in UCLA. They're playing tomorrow night, right?
I think so, yeah. Right over at Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah. Chris Johnson, a base hit in 2 trips to the plate. He's also grounded to short. And Holland gets strike 1. They're right back on track here in the 6th inning. Approaching the 100 pitch level. 97, but this kind of night, kind of throw pitch counts out the window. Relatively cool. It's 60, right at 60 degrees. Damp evening. And the only problem you have is if you can get loose between innings, you can throw all night on a night like this. Off speed that hangs outside. 2-1. Excuse me, 1-1. Holland back to the plate. Shallow center field. That was Martin making the call. And that will do it. Derek Holland, another 1-2-3 inning. He's had 3 of them tonight in the 6 that he has worked. 5.5 in the books. Braves leading 1-0. Slam Inning brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Billy Haddock from Rowlett. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Billy Haddock from Rowlett will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Billy, here's your chance because you got the big guys in the order coming up. Aaron Sebia, Beltre, and Ruan to start things off, and then Robinson, Chirinos if Rangers get somebody on. You got a good shot at our Sonic Slam. Aaron Sebia 0 for 1 tonight, a ground out. He was hit by a pitch in the fourth inning. The only Ranger to advance as far as third base, but he was left stranded there in that fourth. Alex Wood with the first pitch, and a towering drive down the left field line, but it's hooking and goes foul. Billy Haddock, you can sit back down. We're going to try it again.
Well, it's kind of the same pitch that he hit and kept fair the other night. That one he hooked foul just a little bit. I'm kind of surprised he was able to keep that ball fair the other night. It was even more inside than that one.
Oh, speed pitch, and he makes it 0-2. Yeah, I still don't know how he did that. The guy hits out of an open stance, and his body flies out there, and all of a sudden he's able to keep from hooking that thing. 0-2 from Wood. Bethencourt, the catcher, framing that last pitch for Mike Everett to take a long look at, but it's off the plate inside, as our pitch tracker will show you. Now the 1-2. That is going to sneak its way back over the Ranger dugout and into the seats. JP, a 166 average. 32 RBI to go along with the 9 home runs. Home run here last night. Broke a season long, and there's an extra base hit down the line. That's going to go into the corner, and Aaron Sebia motor on into second with a leadoff double. So JP broke a 17-game homerless drought for himself last night, and he opens up the 6th inning with a 2-bagger. Freddie Gonzalez out there to talk to Adrian Johnson, the third base umpire, about whether that ball is fair or foul.
That's a fair ball all the way. No doubt about that.
Well, they can't have a challenge on a fair or foul ball until it gets by the umpire. And I think that was what they were talking about. Wheeldair Rodriguez is going to come in as a pinch runner. But the challenge on a fair or foul, the ball has to have hit past where the umpire is stationed, the base umpire. So it has to be in the outfield before you can have a fair or foul judgment challenge.
That ball not only went over the bag, it looked like it hit the foul line past the bag. I don't think there's any doubt on that.
Wheeldair Rodriguez out at second base. And Adrian Beltre, the hitter, takes outside for ball 1. Adrian 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Rangers trying to at least get even in this game. They trail 1-0. Beltre trying to hit the ball to the right side and cut through a pitch from Alex Wood. 1-1. Look at the defense for the Braves. The infield playing Beltre maybe straight away, if not a step or two around to the left. The outfield playing toward right center field. And this Braves outfield, if you didn't know before, I would tell you that it's one of the best in the business because of their speed and their throwing ability. Both Upton brothers and Hayward. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Major League third baseman, career hit one. George Brett, Wade Boggs, Brooks Robinson, Chipper Jones, and Adrian. Pretty good names on this list.
Sure are. Those are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, all of them, including Adrian, will be. Wilder Rodriguez, the pinch runner, out at second. Nobody out. Beltre down on the count at 1-2. Hit to the right side, a base hit to right field. Rodriguez will be stopped at third. He had to wait to make sure that ball got through. And Adrian Beltre smacking that ball to the right side. And the Rangers have runners at the corners with nobody out, and Ryan Rua coming up.
Now, Wood got Adrian Chase a couple of pitches, but he's battling up there just trying to put the ball in play. Goes the other way with that ball and sneaks it right past Gosselin into right field. Another good scoring opportunity for the Rangers. They've wasted a few tonight, hoping to cash in on at least one run here.
And with that base hit, now Adrian has reached base in 26 consecutive ball games. That is the longest active streak in the American League. Freddie Freeman of the Braves has reached base in 28 consecutive games. Pitch to Rua is outside for ball 1. Ryan had a double down the third base side. He was last time up. He's 1 out of 2. Chance to get the tying run home with an out here. Wilder Rodriguez at third base. Adrian at first with nobody out. Tailing fastball to the inside corner, 1-1. There's Rodriguez down there at third. Beltre over at first. Slow roller to third. That's going to get the run home. Only play for Johnson is the first. Out at first is Rua. In to score, Rodriguez. Down to second goes Beltre. And the Rangers have caught the Braves. It is 1-1.
A little slowly enough so that Johnson only had to play at first, didn't have to play at the plate. He's just needing to get on the board, get something. Don't squander the opportunity again. Great to get a couple more, but let's start with one. We'll take one to begin with.
And that's in the bank now. Rua with his 7th RBI of the year. And now Beltre in scoring position. Robinson Chirinos 0 for 1, a walk and a strikeout. And he pops up the first pitch. Johnson gives way to Simmons, the shortstop, in foul territory. And that is out number 2. Beltre still at second. And Rougned Odor will come up. Odor a strikeout. Last time up, he came up with the bases full and 2 outs and rolled over on the first pitch. Hit a ground ball to second. He's got a do-over now. A base hit would put the Rangers on top and get a base hit to the outfield. Odor a .254 average. Beltre stepping off his lead from second. Alex Wood peering in for the sign. The left-hander is ready. Odor flailing at that first pitch, fouls it off. Odor, the Rangers' minor league player of the year last year. And this is 93rd start at second base for the Rangers this year. In the dirt. Bethancourt able to knock that ball down and keep it near home plate. A ball and a strike. Wood back up on top, the rubber. Beltre the lead from second. Rougned Odor wagging that bat back and forth. He is ready. He got that one in on him. Almost jammed himself. Looked like a hanging breaking ball. One and two. Wood sets again. Could get Rougned to offer at that. That breaking ball just too far outside. 2-2.
He needed a bat and a half to reach that one.
Now the left-hander again checking Beltre. Call strike three. Odor's seen a lot of breaking balls, and Wood came back with a heater and tied him up. Rangers, though, tie up the ball game. They get a run on a couple of hits, and Strand one. Will go to the seventh. Now the Braves won, the Rangers won on TXA 21. Sponsored by Freedom Chevrolet. Nobody beats a Freedom deal. Nobody. Now Derek Holland going back to work here in the top of the seventh inning. A 1-1 ball game, and he fires strike one to Christian Bethancourt. Bottom third of the Braves order here in the seventh. Bethancourt 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly out. There's that fastball in the inside corner.
Up to 100 pitches and still throwing great.
Yep.
Excellent command. 66, 67% strikes today. Continues to throw all his pitches with confidence and still has not walked the batter.
Slowly hit out toward third. Beltre charging. Bare hands and not in time. Now Beltre playing deep with Bethancourt up there. I thought he had him. Thought he would have gotten him. He made a strong throw, but Bethancourt getting down that line pretty well.
Boy, it's amazing how much he can get on a throw.
It is.
from that angle. And another softly hit single for the Braves. Derek's given up 8 hits. I don't think there's been one hit hard yet. Both of Simmons' balls were hit softly. Upton's, that one. There was a hard hit ball. I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe Gosselin's ball into left field, but other than that.
Been a couple of outs that have been hit reasonably hard.
Yeah, a couple outs. Been hit harder than hits. 8 softly hit singles in this game. Derek's had to pitch out of some jams. First and third, 1 out. First and third, no outs.
And it's been every other inning since the third. And this is one of those innings where if you were going to have problems with it, according to the pattern he set, this would be it. Michael Kirkman and Sean Tollison loosening in that Ranger bullpen. B.J. Upton 1 for 2 tonight. I mentioned Upton has hit right at .500 against Derek Holland in his career. That's low and in, 2 balls and a strike. And you know that Derek Holland is aware of that. And you know that B.J. Upton is aware that Derek Holland is aware of that too. Inning by inning breakdown. Once Derek got past that third, it's been very good since then. But there's third, fifth, and now the 7th in the trouble spots. Fouled back by Upton, and the count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. I'd like to see Derek get Upton and then get a double play grounder and have a complete 7 innings worth of work here tonight. Betancourt drawing that throw to first. Holland again ready. And Upton spoils a pitch in on his fist. B.J. Upton, 29 years of age. Holland okays the sign from Chirinos. Got him swinging.
Well, just another example of the assortment of pitches that Derek's featuring right now. 6 strikeouts on the night, no walks, and there's that same pitch that he's getting a lot of his strikeouts with, the slider. That one didn't come down and in on the back foot. That one was near the middle of the plate, but just the change of speed was enough to get Upton. Almost worked like a changeup.
Well, that is 1 out. Betancourt still at first, and Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, who is 2 for 2, is up now. And a little blooper out in the center field. Going out is Elvis Andrus, makes the catch. Back to first goes Betancourt. Good pitch by Holland. Got in on Simmons' fist and gets out number 2. That'll take the Braves back to the top of their order for Jason Hayward. Hayward, a single in 3 trips. Drove in a run with a fielder's choice grounder in the 3rd inning, single in the 5th. One ball, no strikes. Well, you look at this, the core of this Braves club, and it still is pretty young. And guys like Hayward at 25, and even Evan Gattis, 27. He's the old man of the group. Freddie Freeman at 25. Justin Upton at 26.
Yeah, they're young buds, and they're all the kind of guys that played a little bit. Should be entering the prime of their careers.
Yep. To left field, that ball slices back to Daniel Robertson, who stays with it And Derek Holland does a good job of working around a leadoff single. Well, we've got time for the stretch. It's 1-1. And now please join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
As we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world. We invite everyone in Globe Life Park tonight to join in singing God Bless America.
Is sponsored by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. And by Frost. Visit frostbank.com. A misty night. The mist has picked up in intensity a bit. Swirling around Globe Life Park, but fans don't seem to be bothered too much by it. A 1-1 ball game as the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Michael Choice, Daniel Robertson, and Leonis Martin. The first pitch from Alex Wood floats in for strike one.
Oh, what a job by Derek. It's almost the third start exactly the same. 6 hits in the first 2, 8 hits in that one. 1 run a couple of times, no runs another time. No walks in all 3. And 6 strikeouts tonight. He's had 6 in another start, 5 in another one. Can't get much more consistent than that.
No, you're exactly right. And that's exactly what I would use that word to describe it every time. Down the left field line, but it hooks foul. Michael Choice came within an eyelash of dropping that inside the chalk. He'll have to come back and try it again. 0-2, the count to Choice. Up the middle, behind the bag at second. Quick throw by Goslin, and they get Choice by a step and a half. He's shading Michael Choice a bit that way. Daniel Robertson now will step to the plate. Robertson tonight has had an infield single and popped out to short. Wood's first pitch catches the outside corner. Daniel, a 277 average. 17 runs driven in. And then next pitch, well, Wood.
He's made a lot of good pitches, too.
He sure has.
He's got the same kind of game going. He has walked a couple, but almost the same percentage of strikes thrown, and he's had a good assortment of pitches. There's his slider down and in.
And there's his 9th strikeout of the night. It will be completed down at first base, and Robertson's retired. 2 gone, back to the top of the order.
Nothing new for Alex Wood. We mentioned that he gets the 3rd worst run support in the National League, only a little over 3 runs per game. Hasn't even done that well today. He'd be thrilled if he had 3 runs in this game.
His strikeout high, in case you were wondering, that game you talked about, Tom, that he pitched against Miami the last day of August, he struck out a dozen. On the run, nice play by Simmons, and Leonis Martin out very quickly. The Rangers are disposed of here in the bottom of the 7th. 3 up and 3 down. We're going to the 8th. 1-1 the score at Globe Life Park. Replay of the game, and we're all talking about Derek Holland. What a night he has had. 7 innings of work. He's finished now. He had 6 strikeouts, no walks. Gave up 8 hits, but just 1 run. And Derek, he had command of 3 outstanding pitches, both sides of the plate, and he was something again. His 3rd start, he was just outstanding tonight. TXU Energy, inspired by you. And Sean Thomason coming on now to take over a tie ball game to work the top of the 8th inning.
The Rangers will be looking for Sean to be outstanding tonight in a tie ball game. Last couple of innings, where it looks like 1 run could make the difference in this game. 59th appearance for Sean. He'll face the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place hitters for the Braves.
Donaldson missing low and outside. 2 balls and no strike. Phil Goslin tonight 1 for 3. A third inning single. Other than that, is lined to center and struck out. Donaldson's 2-0 pitch. 2-1. 27,547 on hand tonight, and brave souls coming out. It's just gonna, they've all stuck around too. Two and two to Goslin. Donaldson's next pitch. Ball, strike 3. Donaldson gets the strikeout, and that brings Tim Bogart out of the Ranger dugout very quickly. Well, that was apparently just a one-hitter at bat for Sean Donaldson. Bogart takes the ball from him and is going to put a call into the bullpen, bring a left-hander on. So Donaldson gets his man. And now we'll have the left-hander Michael Kirkman come on to face Freddie Freeman. A 1-1 ball game, pitching change underway. We'll be back after this on TXA 21. Michael Kirkman has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over.
Well, Michael is being asked to be more of a left-handed specialist now. He's changed his arm slot a little bit, throwing a little bit more from a 3/4 angle. Using that breaking ball against left-hand hitters. He's being asked to come in and face a tough lefty and see if he can get the job done. And he's going to face a tough lefty in Freddie Freeman. His job if he come in. I don't know if he'll stay in after this. We've got a right-hand hitter, Justin Upton, a switch hitter, and then a right-hand hitter. So this may be a one at bat for Michael as well, just like it was for Sean.
Well, Freddie Freeman is 1 for 3 tonight. And the Rangers go into a pretty good overshift against him as the slider from Kirkman drops in for strike 1. Beltre, the only Ranger on the left side of that diamond. Phil Klein, the right-hander, ready in the Ranger bullpen for what would appear to be a one at bat outing for Michael Kirkman. Check swing on that slider. 1 ball and 1 strike. One more note on the outing by Derek Holland tonight. 3 consecutive games of 7 innings pitched or more with no walks. Only the second Ranger ever to do this. The other, Fergie Jenkins, which would come as no surprise.
Fergie's were probably 9 innings.
A slider that bites the outside corner off.
Now that breaking ball that Michael's throwing right now is going to get left-hand hitters out.
Yep.
If he can become consistent with that, he can carve a niche in the bullpen as a specialist coming in to get that left-hand hitter out. Doesn't mean you can't get righties out, but the big thing is make sure you can get the lefties out and a key part in the ball game.
2-2. You remember the outing he had in Kansas City. Came in to face Alex Gordon, I believe it was. Got ahead of him 1-2 with some pretty good breaking balls and hit him with a fastball. That's what he has to be able to stay away from.
Yeah, he had Alex Gordon if he made his pitch.
The 2-2. Now 3-2. Freeman able to lay off of it.
Now Freeman won't chase quite as much as other hitters. He's walked 80 times. Pretty disciplined hitter.
Outfield playing very deep against him. A no doubles alignment here with the game tied in the 8th inning. Big pitch for Michael Kirkman. Check swing, ball 4. Lost him on that fastball. No, there's what you were just talking about, Tom, and he will not swing at many bad pitches.
No, and it's another at bat that if Michael could have made his pitch, he probably had a pretty good chance to get him. And he came close, but that left-hand hitter was able to lay off him.
So, as it is, Tim Bogar out there to take the ball, and he wants the right-hander Phil Klein to come in. So we'll take another timeout here for this pitching change. 1-1 the score. We are back after this on TXA 21. Tall right-hander Phil Klein on now to take over, become the 3rd pitcher in this inning alone.
And the numbers for Phil would be his 14th ball game, getting his feet wet and getting a chance to pitch in meaningful games. And we've mentioned that several times. The young guys getting called up now for the last month and a half of the season aren't just getting little comfortable outings to get their feet wet and get indoctrinated to big league baseball. They're getting opportunities to pitch in games when the games are on the line. Meaningful games against good teams. Teams fighting for a pennant or a wild card race. So it's great experience for the young guys.
Phil Klein, the 25-year-old out of Columbus, Ohio. And he deals high to Justin Upton. 1 ball, no strikes. Justin Upton 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out twice and flied out. That average at 281. And Freddie Freeman at first after the walk. Klein checks him. And will drive him back. Phil Klein, of course, that 30th round selection by the Rangers in the 2011 draft out of Youngstown State University. And a strike at the knees to Upton. Phil last worked a couple of days ago against the Angels. Worked an inning and was unscored upon, gave up a base hit. He's got one out here in the 8th inning. Pulled the string even a little bit more, and it's 1-2 to Upton.
Good breaking ball, right where he wanted to throw it. Upton's been a little over aggressive tonight. Derek got him to swing at a couple of off-speed pitches that almost bounced in front of home plate.
Klein a check of first. He couldn't get Upton to offer at that slider down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Klein a big guy, 6'7", and he has kind of a short arm delivery. I would think it'd be tough for right-handers in particular to pick that ball up. Hitter doesn't get a great long look at it. Freeman, his lead at first is established. Inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Klein wants Robinson Chirinos to change that ball out. So 1 out, a full count to Upton. Justin Upton, the 4th place hitter. Ryan Doumit, the switch hitting designated hitter tonight, waits to be next. See if Brave skipper Freddie Gonzalez turns Freddie Freeman loose at first. Klein set. He's on the move. Payoff pitch swung on a miss. The throw is high. It's off Odor's glove into center. Up and headed for third. And in safely is Freeman. But Klein got a big strikeout of Justin Upton.
Generally, you would expect Robinson to drop that ball right on top of second base and have an easy caught stealing. Instead, the ball sailed on him. First game back. Might be a little rusty back there. And an uncharacteristically wild throw by Robinson. And he was in his groove earlier. Boy, he was firing one right after the other down there. All right, had a pretty good shot at Freddie Freeman, not the fastest runner.
Well, for Freeman, his 3rd stolen base of the year in 6 attempts. And now with 2 outs, they're going to go ahead and walk Ryan Doumit, who was going to hit from the left side. They're going to have Chris Johnson, the scheduled hitter, the 3rd baseman, a right-handed hitter, will be next. Klein with the 3rd wide one. One more, and we'll get a chance to see Chris Johnson coming up. On the play, the stolen base goes to Freeman. The error is charged to Robinson Chirinos to allow Freeman to go into 3rd base. And now with runners at the corners after the intentional pass, you have Mike Maddox going out to talk to Klein and Chirinos. Terry Pendleton there, the first base coach, and we're going to have a pinch runner, Emilio Bonifacio. Acquired by the Braves this year to add some depth to their club. Coming in as a pinch runner, Bonifacio has very good speed. He is a base stealing threat. Combined 20 stolen bases this year. You may want to set the defensive decision here, whether if Bonifacio sets sail for second base, or what are you going to do with it? Is Chirinos going to throw through? Is he going to bluff a throw to second and see if they can get Freeman off 3rd? And decide all that stuff now. Well, here we go. Runners at the corners. 2 outs, a 1-1 ball game. Chris Johnson 1 for 3 tonight. Klein sets at the belt. Johnson waiting. Line again set. And a strike on the outer edge. Johnson's base hit was a ball that was lost in the twilight. Gray sky, and got over the head of Michael Choice in right field. Pitch just a bit low. 1-1.
Could have been.
Yep. Mike Everett not giving the low strike on that one. 1 ball and 1 strike. In the dirt, Bonifacio headed for second. There will be no play, so we may never know what the decision was. Whether they're going to throw through or not. The ball in the dirt took that decision out of the equation.
Well, good job by Robinson to keep the ball in front of him. Ball bouncing with the go-ahead run at third base.
Yep. Goes down as a stolen base since Bonifacio was on the move. Well, second and third now. 2 balls and a strike to Chris Johnson. Bonifacio is 21st stolen base of the year. And that pitch low. 3 balls and a strike. And Chris Johnson, the number 6 hitter, will be followed by the catcher, Christian Bethencourt. Line ready. The 3-1. Full count. Johnson a .262 average, 56 RBI. Runners at second and third in a 1-1 ball game. Bill Klein ready. The payoff pitch. Got him strike. Good job by Phil Klein to come on and get a couple of punch-outs and strand 2 runners for the Braves. Rangers coming to bat in the bottom of the 8th. 1-1 the score. Last game of the season is September 28th. Rangers take on the A's in a 2:05 game. It's also Fan Appreciation Day, and all fans attending will receive a voucher for one free upper reserve ticket to select 2015 home games. Visit TexasRangers.com to get tickets for September the 28th. The Texas Rangers thank you for your support all season long. Well, both starting pitchers now have exited, with Alex Wood headed to the showers. Bill Klein coming in and doing a great job to get out of a potential ticklish spot in the top of the eighth. And now David Carpenter has come on to take over for the Atlanta Braves. Elvis Andrus, the Rangers' number 2 man, will start things off. The first pitch by Carpenter is in for strike one.
Carpenter having a nice season. Kind of a Sean Tollison-like season. 59th game coming up. Solid ERA. About a strikeout per inning. Good slider.
And the appeal down to first. He did go around. 0-2 to Elvis. Carpenter acquired by a waiver claim by the Braves. Elvis lines one to center. On comes Upton, still coming. DJ Upton able to run it down. Looked good for a moment, but Upton pretty good closing speed. Well, that was the first out. Now Rio Rodriguez, who came on as a pinch runner for J.P. Arancibia in the 6th and scored the only Ranger run, will hit with one out. Rodriguez, a switch hitter, looking for his first major league hit. Showed bunt and takes ball one. Between Frisco and Round Rock, double and triple A for the Rangers this year. Rodriguez, a .260 average with 21 RBI. Veteran of almost 1,100 minor league games before the Rangers gave him a chance to come up for this month of September. That's how to play down the left side. 1 ball, 1 strike. 31 years old. Almost a player coach status with the Double-A Rough Riders.
Well, you would think he's one of those guys, when he does hang him up as a player, would easily go into the coaching ranks.
Slowly hit down the first base side. Tough play, and nicely done by David Carpenter and Freddie Freeman. Well, that is a tough play, and they executed that as well as you possibly can. That little in-between ground ball, and Carpenter did exactly the right thing. He kept going to the bag, and once Freeman fielded the ball, he had somewhere to go with it. A lot of times you see both guys throw for the ball and nobody takes the bag. Oh, 2 out. Now here's Adrian Beltre. Beltre singled his last time up. 1 for 3. Batting average at .325. And Carpenter drops that breaking ball in for strike one. Carpenter's 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Mentioned that Carpenter acquired by the Braves on a waiver claim from the Boston Red Sox after the 2012 season. Last year was in 56 games with the Braves. And Beltre shoots one to right. And a little foul in front of Hayward. Adrian Beltre on again. His second hit of the night. A 2-out single. That'll bring up Ryan Rua.
Adrian going the other way with a second well-hit ball to right field.
Well, that's the 5th hit of the night for the Rangers. And Rua at the plate has one of those hits. It was a third inning double. He's got a fourth inning double. A 1 for 3 for Rua, a .264 average. Carpenter telling Christian Bethencourt, the catcher, he couldn't see it. First pitch. That is strike one. Carpenter, a high set. And this is low and outside. Rua waiting. Carpenter, a check of Beltre. Inside, 2-1. Ryan Rua showing a pretty good knowledge of the strike zone. Hard to get him to expand that strike zone very much. Out of play. That evens the count at 2-2.
A great fastball by Carpenter. Ran it in on the fist, 96 miles an hour. He got pretty good stuff to pick up on a waiver time. See that ball coming in toward the handle of Ryan's bat. And there it is, right on the inside corner. Pitch number 4.
2-2.
Pitch number 5, same thing.
Yeah, same spot. Ryan hanging tough. Carpenter. Look at that last pitch.
You fight those pitches off. You get a couple foul balls. Maybe this one comes a little more out over the plate and you just rip it. Last two are pretty tough to hit the way he's running in on his fist, though.
There you go. Drop one into center field for the base hit.
Pretty nice job of hitting.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you know, if you're the pitcher, you pound him in a couple of times. You feel like you got him set up for the slider. Well, Ryan fought off the fastballs and served the slider out into center field for a base hit. Pretty nice job right there.
Rua with his second hit of the night. Beltre stopping at second. And Robinson Chirinos. Now we'll get a shot at David Carpenter.
Well, neither team has done a whole lot tonight with men in scoring position. Only been a couple of runs. A great chance to get one right here, though, if Robinson can line one to the outfield. Huge gap out in left center field. Upton playing way over, shallow in right center field.
Chirinos tonight has walked. Other than that, he has struck out and fouled out. Hitting at .230, trying to increase that RBI total, which is at 33. And boy, he had a good pitch to work with there. And fouled it back. See him kind of grimacing, thinking about how he should have murdered that pitch in his mind. Beltre at second, Rua at first. The 0-1 pitch. To center field, that's going to be down for a base hit. Beltre being waved around third. Upton's throw is offline. Beltre slides home safely. And the Rangers take a 2-1 lead as Robinson Chirinos drives in the go-ahead run.
How's that for a 2-out rally? Harmless start to the inning. 2 up, 2 down. Line drive to right, line drive to center, line drive to center. 3 straight hits, and Rangers take the lead. Nice 2-out rally. It's almost the same pitch that Ryan had. A slider out over the plate, stayed up just enough. Robinson to get the good part of the bat on the ball.
Robinson Chirinos with his 34th RBI of the year. He puts the Rangers on top as Adrian Beltre slides across home. And that's going to do it for David Carpenter as Freddie Gonzalez takes the ball from him, makes the motion for the left-hander coming out of the bullpen. And we will take a timeout for this pitching change. Rangers leading now 2-1 here in the 8th inning. We're back after this on TXA 21. Here in the 8th inning, Robinson Chirinos driving him home from second base. And a new pitcher has come on to take over to be the left-hander, Luis Avilan.
Yeah, numbers for Avilan on the season, pretty solid numbers. He's allowed just 9 of 41 inherited runners to score. He's got a couple of more of them out there. Trying to get the left-hand hitter, Rougned Odor, with a couple of men on. Rangers trying to add a run.
Kind of an interesting development here. Rangers taking the lead in the bottom of the 8th, and Neftali Feliz is not up in front.
Nope. He threw great in last night's game.
He did. And here is Odor. And the first pitch is a breaking ball that's over his head for ball 1. Odor tonight 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a ground out. Got Ryan Rua at second, Robinson Chirinos at first base. He's taken a 2-1 lead here in the 8th inning. All this with 2 outs, 3 consecutive 2-out singles. And that was pulled foul by Odor. And not only is it a foul ball, the bat is foul now also. And if we're back and get a new one. Foul look. Slow-mo showing you the splinters going every which way. A 1 ball and 1 strike. Fritz Steicher, a very capable stats man, just told me that Feliz had been warming earlier this inning.
Oh, okay.
We missed that.
We missed that. He's probably warmed up and ready to go then. Thank you, Fritz.
Appreciate that. Thanks for keeping us on our toes.
It's those young eyes.
1-1 pitch.
Outscoping the veteran eyes.
Yep. 2-1 now to Odor. He's got 38 RBI this year and 336 at-bats for the 20-year-old. Bethencourt flashing out the series of signs. Avilan picks one out. The 2-1 pitch is on the way. Now 3-1. Odor trying to get aboard to join Rua and Chirinos. If he does, Michael Choice waits to be in. Rua at the bottom of your screen, stepping off his lead from second. Avilan with a 3-1. Inside, ball 4, and that will load him up. A big walk by Avilan, and that's going to be his only hitter. As Freddie Gonzalez headed back out to the mound, he has the right-hander David Hale loose, and Freddie Gonzalez doesn't appear to be too thrilled to be making that trip again. But takes the ball from Avilan and summons David Hale. So another pitching change underway here, and again, we will take a timeout. Rangers leading 2-1. Back after this. National League wild card, which the Braves are very much involved in. The Giants leading for the top spot. They have a 3.5-game lead over the Pirates. Pirates, though, a 2-game lead over the Brewers and 2.5 over the Braves. 6.5 back the Mets and the Marlins. But pretty heated 3-team race right now for that second spot. And David Hale has come out of the bullpen, the right-hander, to take over.
And numbers for David Hale this season. He's been in 41 games. A nice ERA. He's had 5 starts and done a nice job in those starts. 2-0 with a 2.22 ERA.
Michael Choice, a little dribbler down the third baseline, but it moves into foul territory before Chris Johnson can get to it. And he'll come back and try it at 0-1. That had the potential to work out pretty well.
Like a punt single to drive in a run.
Michael Choice tonight is 0 for 3. He did reach, though, on a wild pitch, a strikeout, and a wild pitch back in the 5th inning. He's also lined sharply to right field and grounded out. Rua at third, Chirinos at second, Odor at first. A run across with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Michael Choice asking for timeout as David Hale taking way too long. The right-hander is ready to work. Dips over the outside corner. It's 0-2. Fastball changeup specialist, an occasional slider. Has the sign and sets. Well, Hale comes in to get the strikeout. Ends the inning, but the Rangers take the lead. It's all with 2 outs. 3 consecutive hits and a walk for a run. They strand 3. 9th inning coming up. And it looks like it will be Neftali Feliz time. He'll face Bethencourt, Upton, and Simmons. 2-1 Rangers.
Well, there haven't been a lot of those. If he can come in and throw the ball like he did last night, he'd be in pretty good shape.
Yep.
He came in with an excellent velocity on his fastball, good location with it. He just pounded the strike zone. A rare save opportunity. Neffy trying to cash in on it. 8 for 9 in save opportunities. He blew one in Cleveland, but he's had 4 or 5 straight since that point in time. Trying to add one here tonight. Get a nice 2-1 win. Great job by Derek Holland tonight. 7 innings with only 1 run. Didn't walk a batter.
You remember last night that Phillies came in and had 7 of his 11 pitches at 95 or better. And that's great to see. No, he will face the bottom third of the Braves order. Christian Bethancourt, the catcher, to lead things off. And it's B.J. Upton and Andrelton Simons. Bethancourt, an infield single, leading off the 7th inning. That was the last inning that Derek Holland worked, and he worked around that leadoff single very effectively, getting a strikeout, a pop out, and a fly out. So here we go in the 9th. Rangers leading 2-1. And 95 right out of the chute. And a foul ball, strike 1. See if that body language carried over from last night too. Neffy last night was feeling good about what he was doing, and it showed on the way he presented himself on the mound. That's critical, especially for a closer. Feliz looks in for the sign from Chirinos, and now he sets the 1-1 pitch.
Pretty sharp broken slider too.
It was 1-2.
Batter thought it was a fastball right about here, and then it's whoops. About another foot before you could have reached that one. Great pitch.
Feliz back to the plate. Couldn't get him to offer the second one. It's okay. 2-2. And Neftali Feliz, the 26-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, trying to, I'm not going to say reinvent himself, but find out exactly what he has to work with and adjust to that. 2-2 pitch, got him swing. Good fastball away, and he gets the strikeout of Bethancourt.
Adrian fired that ball back to Feliz over his head. Feliz caught it and tapped his chest, said, "I'm going to throw it that hard, throw it down around my chest where I can catch it easily. Don't make me pull a muscle trying to catch that thing." If he didn't catch it, it probably would have gone into the stands behind first base.
That's a wet ball.
Oh, man.
Here's B.J. Upton. And he looks at strike 1.
Yeah, 96 miles an hour right there. Shouldn't give you a whole lot of problems with Upton.
You get a lot of folks on that. B.J. Upton 1 for 3 tonight. Had a single and scored a run back in the 3rd, and that has been the only run for the Braves tonight. 0-1. 0-2. B.J. Upton barking a little bit at Mike Everett.
They're both strikes. He didn't like them, but they're both strikes.
Feliz sets. And up to the fly ball to left field. Daniel Robertson parked underneath it, puts it away, 2 gone.
He fired that one even harder, but it was lower. And if he gave him the thumbs up, I can handle that one a little better. He just wants to make sure they're concentrating and bearing down.
Two gone. Anderson Simmons, the last hope for the Braves. Simmons 2 for 3 now, a pair of singles. This crowd of 27,547. Mostly standing. And, all the support they possibly can to Neftali Feliz and the Rangers. Mist continuing to fall, but very, very lightly. The 1-0 pitch to Simmons. Fly ball, right field, hit pretty deep. Going back his choice at the wall, he makes the catch, and that is a winner. Neftali Feliz gets the save, the Rangers get the win. And the final tonight, 2-1 Texas, as they defeat the Atlanta Braves. A well-pitched game all the way around for the Rangers tonight. Well-played game. Offense did just enough to make that good pitching stand up. And Derek Holland, 7 more outstanding innings tonight. He had no decision, but did his part to really hold down the Atlanta Braves tonight. Robinson Chirinos, nice to see him back in the lineup. Did a very good job behind the plate and had the game-winning RBI.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt, Buzz, that that's the best Neffy's thrown since he was in his prime as a Ranger closer, back-to-back nights.
Right.
Both nights, I don't think he threw a pitch under 95 miles an hour, maybe one last night. Good command, and as you mentioned, in both starts, good body language. He looked confident. He looked like the old Neffy right there in back-to-back outings. That's great to see. He's got to feel great about it. Rangers feel great about it. His teammates feel great about it. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and we've talked, Tom, about looking for things going down the stretch now with 15 games left to play. But Tim Bogart or whoever is going to be manager would like to see things happen these last 2 weeks plus. And that's one of the big things. Can you get Neftali Feliz back? Can he be
That's a big thing right there.
Yeah, the answer to your off-season question about the closer role. And if he can answer that affirmatively, boy, that is a great plus for the team going into the offseason.
No doubt.
So, 2-1 the final. We'll come back with some final thoughts right after this on TXA 21.